What's up, peeps? Straight Shootin LJA here, and welcome to another episode of the Straight Shootin Rants. Now, one thing that I've seen recently is from a few days ago, Russell Howard, a comedian I'm a fan of. I actually went to see him in 2000, I think it was 8? Yeah, I think it was actually 2008, when he sold out, as in his own words, 1/8 of Wembley Arena. And I've always been a fan of his. And one thing that I saw recently was at a warm-up gig for one of his for one of his DVDs recently. He basically stormed off stage after about 5 minutes into a set. Now the reason was basically due to a woman literally in the front row going just sitting there filming him. And it's one of them where obviously, well, as comedians do, that was obviously quite off-putting, and he basically mocked her for it, and then was like, "You've just ruined the night," and all that kind of thing. And you know what? I would say fair play to Russell Howard for storming off the stage like that, because at the end of the day, it's one of them where that must be extremely annoying. Especially in this day and age, where imagine you're a comedian and that's your livelihood, which of course it is for Russell Howard. Imagine that's your livelihood, and people are literally sticking a phone right in your face whilst you're performing, and then leaking that stuff out to YouTube. And then let's say you're doing. Funnily enough, actually, I was listening to an episode of the Raven Effect podcast from January of 2020. Literally, the same day that story actually came up, and it's one of them. Imagine you're basically as Raven, Scott Levy, and Rich McKinney were talking about. It was a case of, imagine you do quite risque humor, like say Dave Chappelle, for instance, and the stuff gets recorded, and it gets recorded and put online out of context. Now, comedians are already basically in the firing line, especially observational comedians are already in the firing line as it is. But when stuff is taken out of context, which I've seen it before. I've seen on numerous occasions where you've got jokes that are said, told, whatever, completely out of context. And in the words of Eric Bischoff on 83 Weeks, his podcast, context is king. Context will tell you the intent of something, the delivery of something changes based on context as well. So it's on them. I mean, I could totally understand why Russell Howard stormed off stage, and I actually agree with him. Because at the end of the day, you don't want someone sticking a phone in your face when you're performing. There's time before the show, after the show, if you catch him. There's time to get selfies and that kind of thing if you catch him. If you don't catch him, boom. That's your SOL. So it's one of them where it's just a bit. I mean, Howard actually told her something that my partner, when I told her the story, was like, God, like, put your phone away and live in the moment. And too many people do that on a general basis. They take themselves out of the moment. Like, the instinct these days is to whip your phone out and document everything. And remember, phones and that, the quality is pretty amazing. I mean, I'm filming this vlog right now with a mobile phone microphone, camera, and all that. And, well, look how good it looks. So imagine you're trying to, imagine just from a financial perspective, imagine you're a comedian and you're trying to make money on your DVDs, but someone's sat at the back or sat in the front or whatever and filmed your whole show and put that up on YouTube for free. They're getting the hits. Sometimes YouTube takes ages to actually take stuff down, even if it's breaching copyright. But imagine someone's leaked your whole set online. So when people go to your shows and say, yeah, you'll cut a few jokes here and there with the warm-up sets, that's what it's supposed to be for. And generally on venues, there will be posters and signage saying no phones are allowed. If you go to Wembley Arena, which me and my partner did for Chris Rock's Born Suspect tour about a year ago, it was like, right, your phone goes in this pouch. If you take it out, I think an alarm goes off and you get ejected straight away. There were actually a couple people in that show who got caught. They'd somehow smuggled their phones in. They got caught filming, taking pictures, and even Chris Rock at one point was like, look at it, look at this prick. And this was in Wembley Arena, and the dude got escorted out straight away. And that happened a couple of times during that show. So it's one of them where it's like with comedy, you're trying to protect your craft, and it's already a craft that's under attack as it is. So piracy is a major problem when it comes to films, comedy, everything. And you just got, I mean, it's one of them ones where with a comedian, you're directly taking that person's livelihood by doing that. And you look at it, I said, if you're trying out new material, and I said it gets released out of context, there could be a whole media crap storm around it because of it, and it's like, well, it's out of context. If you knew the rest of the joke, and a lot of people will judge a comedian based on one joke, and generally that joke will be taken out of context, so people will be making an ill-informed judgment, and that happens a lot just generally. But also as well, it's a case of, imagine you're trying to sell a DVD and you're building to a show. You're eliminating stuff via your warm-up gigs, because warm-up gigs tend to be intimate, like maybe 50 people in a room, and it's like, okay, that joke works, that joke doesn't. Like one of Frankie Boyle's tours where he was at the Hen and Chickens, I think in Islington somewhere, and there were jokes on that warm-up show that were really good and ones that were really poor. The Michael Barrymore joke I thought was brilliant. It didn't make it to the live show. I think it was I Would Happily Punch Each One of You in the Face tour, which I actually went to that year. But it's one of them where it's like, imagine that joke had been blown and it had already been leaked. It was eventually, that warm-up show was eventually released on DVD as an extra. But it's a case of, if that had already been released and stuff had already been released out of context, that ruins a comedian's chance at making as much money as they can from the tour DVD. So as I said, you're mucking around literally with someone's livelihood there. So if a whole show, let's say it's an hour and a half warm-up show, and someone's just filmed the whole thing unofficially, filmed the whole thing, it'd be one of them where it's like, again, there's no reason to buy the DVD. And then some people will be like, oh, well, that's the same jokes I heard on that warm-up show. Oh, he's clearly doing this all the time. There's no point buying it. And then you start seeing sales drop. So, and I said, comedians are generally individuals. Some may have writers or writing team or whatever, but they're generally individuals. So you're literally stealing someone's craft for the sake of a couple of hundred hits on YouTube or some Instagram and Facebook likes or a couple of retweets. So when you're at a show, whether it be a live performance, whether it be a comedy show, a gig, a concert, whatever, live in the damn moment. Don't hold your phone up like a mindless drone and be like, because then you're not living in the moment. And there is nothing like being somewhere live. I mean, it's been said about football, it's been said about concerts and all that. And look at the COVID-19 stuff. And this is like literally one of them was like lockdown restrictions and all that have been reduced. And Russell Howard's show was in Bristol, and it's one of them where it's like, just coming out of kind of lockdown, faux lockdown. See my other video blogs for why I say it that way. You're just coming out of all these restrictions, and you get the opportunity for the first time in 4 or 5 months at least to go to a live show, and then you're doing this stupidness. It's like has the pandemic taught some people nothing? Like, live in the moment, enjoy the moment you're in, because with this cluster of a government, that could be taken away. There could, in theory, be another lockdown. So, and that's being touted as a rumor that there could be another lockdown. So it's one of them where it's just live in the moment and don't steal people's livelihoods. So, as I said, I'm in total agreement with what Russell Howard did. Fair play to him for taking a stand, and fair play to him for doing that. Because at the end of the day, it ruins the experience for everybody. Because those gigs, those warm-up gigs are supposed to be intimate. They're supposed to be whatever's said and done live is there. It's done. It's over. And there are certain podcasts that I know of. Was it Bruce Pritchard's podcast, Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard, and hosted by Conrad Thompson. Same with Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone, their podcast Grilling JR and What Happened When, respectively. They do live shows, but they don't record them because they want that live experience to be live and to be special as well. Where it's like, well, if you don't come to the show, if you don't come to the live shows, you miss out. So it's one of them as well, where it's like, if you know that you're going to witness something special live that nobody else is going to, that drives you to the live shows. And live shows and touring are where, especially with comedians and now recently podcasters, make their money. Because the DVDs obviously fallen by the wayside. On demand doesn't even really pay much. Look at the Netflix model and Amazon Prime. They're paying pittance in terms of royalties. So touring and going on the road is where they make their money. Same with rappers. Same with musicians and all that. That's why live shows are such a spectacle. So don't destroy the live arts by going, filming stuff, and then putting it up on YouTube for free. You know what? I want to know your views. Straight down there. Down where? Down there. Comment section is down there. Let me know your views on it. Was Russell Howard justified in doing what he does? Is the live music, comedy, performance industries, are they being destroyed by people whipping out their phones and putting stuff online for free? It's one of them. And how much of an impact can that have? Comment section is down below. At SSLJA on Twitter. Facebook.com/Straight Shootin. No G. LJA on Facebook. And also, hit me up on Instagram. Liam_LJA_Angel. 2 L's in Angel. But it's one of them ones. I have been Straight Shootin LJA. And until next time, have a wonderful and pleasant day. Thanks for your time, peeps, and I'll see you next time on the Straight Shootin Rant. Shout outs to Russell Howard. You did the right thing in my view. See you later, peeps.